Hi, I'm MD Sharat Mia and welcome to our technical school. So, what I'm going to discuss today, the topic is very important for our networking and cybersecurity also. The topic is about IP addresses. So, how many categories or how many type of version we have of our IP address? Because the IP address very important protocol when we um, need to communication uh, with our few networking devices. So this IP address need to be known with a very clear concept. So how many version we have with our IP address? So for this discussion, so we have to know that there is two type of IP version. The first IP version name is we called it IP version 4 and the second version is IP version 6. So basically, from my this statement that we are able to think that the IP version 4 is older one version and the IP version 6 is update version. Actually, this is kind of a like that because the IP version 6 is more than it's a more opportunity and more advanced. It has the more advanced features better than IP version 4. But we are now going to discuss about both of version, that which version is best and which version works with a in a which way. Okay, so if you just see my screen, then you will able to see that here is a few differences or few major properties on our IP version 4 and IP version 6. So basically that nowadays we are using IP version 4. Okay, because IP version 6 is also we are using at this moment, but it is not available with our networking devices because it's day by day we are using that for particular works, but it's not in so much general like as IP version 4. And the first properties for IP version 4 is it has a total 32 bits. So total 32 bits and it has a 4 pair. Okay. So if I'm just saying to everyone that just saying here that this format IP version 4 format is like that 192.168.0.1. So here is a 4 pair and every pair has 8 bit. So that's mean total bit is 32 bit. So IP version 4 has total 32 bit and every pair has 8 bit. That's mean 1 byte. So IP version has remain IP version 4 keeps always 4 byte. That's mean 32 bit and it looks like 192.168.0.1. This is an example I am giving to everyone that this format looks like this. It can be like as 4.4.4.4 or something like that also, but the pair should be always 4 in a IP version 4. Okay, but so the counterpart for our IP version 6, it has total 8 pair. So IP version 4 has 4 pair and IP version 6 has 8 pair and every pair has their 16 bit. Okay, so the total pair is 8. So total pair is 8 and every pair has 16 bit and so our total bit will be 128 bit. Okay, and if we see on our IP version 4, the IP version 4 had the 4 pair with a dotted decimal because we are always get our IP version 4 with decimal value with dotted. So this is not possible to get ABCD like that hexadecimal value except except something except after decimal value. Okay, this is not possible on our IP version 4. But if we talk about our IP version 6, So IP version 6 has 8 pair, and those 8 pair uh, is goes with hexadecimal dotted value. Okay, hexadecimal dotted hexadecimal value. So that's mean that 0 to 9 this decimal value will get with A to F values, A to F letters within A to F, not after F. So that's why the IP version 6 has a dotted hexadecimal declaration. So if you just check on my screen that on IP version 6, you will get that here is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 pair. And every pair has their bit is 16 bit, and total 8 pair has their 128 bit. And with each pair, you will able to see now 3b23. This is a pair. So 323 is a decimal value, with B is a letter. So that's why it's called hexadecimal. Values are always coming through IP version 6. So so during this time, in our real world, so day by day, our internet users numbers are increasing day by day. So with this massive internet users, so all internet users, they need a IP address. So everyone need to IP address, and everyone has their own IP address. So 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 it can be a question come to our mind that how many address IP version 4 can be provided, and how many addresses of our version 6 can be provided. So here is a simple calculation that so we know that our IP version 4 has 30 our IP version 4 has uh, 30 uh, 32 bit. So if we calculation with a simple calculation 2 power of 32, then we will get the answer is the result should be 4.7 billion addresses. So this IP version 4 always this IP version 4 has all has total IP address, and the number of total IP address on our IP version 4 is 4.7 billion address. The total fixed addresses is 4.7 billion address for our IP version 4. But what's happened with IP version 6? So IP version 6 will be more and more values, more and more addresses for our real life users. Okay, because if we search on our internet, then we will get that there will be more internet users, and there will be more internet users than our IP version 4 total addresses. Okay, because IP version 4 is total addresses is only 4.7 billion addresses, but the total internet users current value is more than 5.2 or 4 billion internet users. Okay, so there is a simple policy, or there is another technique that the IP version 4 is now there is a simple technique on our IP version 4. I will talk about this issue on my next videos, that how IP version 4 is provided its 4.7 billion addresses to more than internet users than its more than internet users. Okay, how is it possible with uh, a massive internet users? Because the 4.7 billion addresses is this is not a huge addresses, because on the other hand, we have a loss of more than 4.7 billion users. We have a current internet users. So, and the number of current internet users is 5.4 billion or something like that. So how is it possible to provide 4.7 billion addresses to 4.7 billion addresses distributed to 5.4 or 5.3 billion current internet users. How is it possible? So we will talk about later. And if we see on our IP version 6 that the IP version 6 has a 128 total bit in address with a 8 pair. So if we calculation, then we will get it. The total reserved IP address on our version 6 is 340 trillion and trillion addresses. It's too much, too many addresses has already reserved on our IP version 6, and it is a massive IP address, massive reserved with addresses than our IP version 4. And this IP version 6 is developing, and day by day it is going to distribute with users, but till now it is not available in everywhere. So about this IP version 4 and IP version 6, so we have a basic sense about IP version 4 and IP version 6. So we are going to talk about the types of IP addresses now. Okay, so here is our types of our IP addresses. So in a real world, we will find basically four type of IP address. The first is public IP address, second is private IP address, third is static IP address, and fourth is dynamic IP address. So which IP address? So everyone has their own works, and a major differences has also included. So I'm going to talking and discuss on that. Okay. So basically, what is public IP address? I already noted in here that this public IP address, it works in one area network. Okay, so one area network is, because we know already that um, we know about basic network classification, that we have a LAN, MAN, WAN, CAN. So CAN means campus area network, LAN means local area network, WAN means wide area network or worldwide area network. So globally it works. Okay, WAN globally works. So public IP is always goes with one area network. Okay, so wide area network or worldwide area network. So public IP is always works with globally. Okay, but what's about private IP? Private IP, it works only LAN, or that means that locally, local area network. Okay, so I'm not talking about at this moment static and dynamic, because I will talk about this after my public and private IPs discussion session. Okay, so if I want to explain about public IP, what is public IP? Public IP is the IP that always works with globally, not in a small area. And private IP is always works with small area, not globally. For example, that I have this mobile. Okay, so I have to be um, I have to be talk with my I have to be access Facebook, or I have to be use conversation with my friends. So what's happened then? So if I want to make an internet call to my friends, or if I want to access out my Facebook or Google or Netflix or YouTube, whatever. So my mobile will be always work with local area network. Local area network. And my ISP service provider will help me. Okay, so if I want to, if I so the main thing is, if you have a laptop, if you have a mobile, if you have whatever, if you have at your home, So those networking devices has their uh, private IP. Okay, so those network devices has their private IP. So private IP will be work in a local area network. Okay, but what is public IP? Okay, so your router has public IP. Okay, and your ISP service provider has their own public IP. So when you want to access something like as Facebook or YouTube or something else, then your private IP will send a request with a request data packet go through your router. So router has a public IP with also private IP. Okay, so you are not going to connect it with your ISP provider directly because that's not possible, because a private IP never communicate with a public IP directly. So the third party is your router, because the router has your public private IP also for communicate with you with your laptop or mobile, and it has also a public IP to communicate, send a request data packet to ISP provider. Okay, so and ISP has their all public IPs from Facebook, YouTube, Netflix, and everywhere. Okay, so I want to tell you only one thing, that a public IP always works with one wide area network with globally, and the public IP has a restriction for communication with private IP. So a public IP never communicate with private IP. It's not possible. This is a policy. Private public IP will always communicate with public IP. Okay, and because this time on my mobile, so my internet is on, so I'm using a private IP, not a public IP. If I want to use a public IP, I have to purchase from a server. I have to be paid for get a public IP. Okay, and the another issue is private IP. So private IP is always works with um, private IP is always works with a local area network, and private IP can be communicate with public IP. So that's the total difference between public IP and private IP. So public IP can works with globally, and private IP will works with locally, LAN area network. And what I say you before that, there was a mistake that um, we on our local area network, actually we are not getting a public IP actually, but I told you that we can also get a public IP by extra purchase, extra payment. So that's not possible actually. So we can get a static IP with a extra purchase. So I'm going to talking about this. So the basic difference is public IP working with one area network, that means wide area network, and public IP always works with local area network. And private IP can't be communicate with public IP directly, and public IP can't be communicate with private IP directly. That's the explanation about public IP and private IP also. So then what is our static IP? So I'm telling you that I told you before when I was discussing on IP version 4 and IP version 6. The major explanation about IP version 4 and 6 was that IP version 4 is available in our real life, but IP version 6 um, is now adopting a new features, and it's developing also till now, and just for a few persons, for a few words, they are using their IP version 6, and a massive number of IP addresses uh, has already booked with version 6, but only a few IP address like as 4.7 billion. If I check on my screen, yeah, 4.7 billion addresses has already booked for total number of IP address has booked for our IP version 4, and we are the common people, we are always using IP version 4 IP addresses, okay, not IP version 6. So so at this moment, so we have a question that if we are using the if we are using the because 5.2 or 5.3 billion 4 billion internet user, if they are using IP version 4, then how is it possible that IP version 4 is providing its all IP addresses to a massive to a more than internet um, users at a time? How is it possible in a time? Okay, so here is the answer with goes with static IP and dynamic IP. Okay, so what is static IP then? Static IP is an IP that always keep fixed for a particular user. No one can use that IP without specific fixed user. That means authorized user. For this, user has to pay for this static IP. For example, that I with my mobile, I have this mobile. Okay, when I buy this mobile, after I buy this mobile, I install in here Facebook, I install in here YouTube, and I'm accessing with my browser. I'm accessing Facebook, I'm accessing Netflix, I'm accessing YouTube. So I never I never give my own IP address on my mobile. So when I buy this, I just buy a internet pack from a ISP service provider, and they are giving me the opportunity to access Facebook, YouTube, and Netflix. So what type of IP address I am using now? So the answer is I'm using dynamic IP, not static IP. If I keep my own choosable IP on my mobile or laptop, that means that if I choose my own uh, personal IP address from a ISP service provider, then I have to pay them for extra money to make my own IP address. So that's IP address are only for usable with a particular IP. That's mean my account, and whatever I am using internet or whatever I am not using internet, that it doesn't matter. The IP address will be keep fixed for me always. Okay, so the static IP no one can use except the authorized user. And authorized user should be just one user. Okay, it's mean one user, not two or three authorized user. It can't be with static IP. But what is the benefit for dynamic IP? So dynamic IP means that this IP address can use by more than one users, network users. Okay, for example, that when I buy this mobile, so I'm accessing after I buy my mobile and after I pay for a pack internet pack for data using internet using from a service provider, so then I can access Facebook, YouTube, or Netflix very easily. But for example, that I'm sleeping now or my data pack is finished now, so what's happened then? Or I am traveling abroad, so that's time I have to be that's time a aeroplane mate remain keep on my mobile on. Okay, so what's happened then? So dynamic IP provides an not permanent IP to a users when he is using internet from a service provider. That time that IP address will allot for him, but when he's not using internet, he's not doing anything from ISP service provider, so that time that same IP address will go through another user who need to access something. Okay, so when I am sleeping, I'm not doing anything, or when I am traveling somewhere where my mobile phone is off, so no internet is incoming or outgoing from my mobile, so that's time someone else in this world, they are using, that person is using in my IP. So it's called dynamic IP. So with this facility, with this dynamic IP facilities, the IP version 4 is working in a in with us. So with this only 4.7 billion addresses, they are working with dynamic IP policies with more than internet users now. So that's why we don't have any problem for getting a dynamic IP, for getting an internet service with the feature of dynamic IP. So like this dynamic IP allowed to allowed to this massive internet, the huge internet users, more than the total internet addresses from our IP version 4. So the basic concept for our static IP and dynamic IP is static IP is a fixed. I have to pay extra money for purchase a static IP and no one will use this. That always keep for me whatever I am using internet or not, it doesn't matter. But a dynamic IP, it is not a permanent IP for mine. So when I'm using a internet, that time dynamic in a dynamic way, I will get internet service provider allot me a IP address. But when my mobile phone is switch off or something else, when I'm not using internet, so that time my same IP address will go to another person. When he is off, that IP address will go somewhere else. So like this way, this 4.7 billion addresses is going to allot always 5.4 or 5.3 like this internet users. Okay, so this is the main explanation about static IP and dynamic IP, but we have to remind in here that we have to remember in here that we can find this static IP and dynamic IP in our both public and private IP. So that's mean that we'll find the static and dynamic IP in our public inside our public IP, and also this static and dynamic IP we will get that inside our private IP. So the public and private both they has their static and dynamic IP. So so this is actually the explanation about our IP address classification or types of IP address, the version of IP address. So that is the main explanation about our IP addresses. So I want to tell you one thing that in here, just I'm writing in here a IP address like as 192 dot 168 dot 44 dot 12. So this is an IP address. So this is a IP address comes from version 4. Okay. So it has a 4 pair. So first pair is 192, second pair is 168, and third pair is 44, and fourth pair is 12. So every pair has their 8 bit. That means 1 bit. So IP version 4 has 4 byte or 32 bit. 4 byte or 32 bit. Okay. So what is our first pair means? What is our second pair means? What is our third pair means? And what is our fourth pair means? The first pair because it's really important to know you, because if you are feeling interested about networking or cybersecurity, so in our cyber space that we have to keep privacy, we have to keep security for our information. Okay, we have to keep security for our all digital equipment. So here are the advantages, here are the disadvantages. So because of hackers, so so no one want to keep their information with unsafe way. So so we have to a basic knowledge about which pair means what things. Okay, like this. So if someone hack your information, then the investigation of forensic team, they will find that users and the system, how can they find it from a IP address. So I'm just giving you a basic concepts about IP address, not in a details. Okay. So with your first pair from your IP address, if it is comes from IP version 4, the first pair means always the country code, the country name. Okay. For example, that 192 is going to be mentioned in country name. The second pair, it is going to be mentioned a country's county or state name, and third pair is going to for your uh, for your particular ISP provider. Okay, like as Grameenphone from Bangladesh, like as a Grameenphone, Robi, or somewhere from Jio, Reliance, Airtel, or Tesco, Three Mobiles. So those are the ISP provider. Okay, so the third pair man going to goes to mention for ISP provider or with city. Okay, and the fourth pair is going to mention about your device identity, host, for only reserved for host. So if anyone hacks with a IP version, if anyone hack with the IP version 4, then investigation team will find like this way that which country, from which country he is doing this uh, unethical and criminal works, and which states, and from which service provider, and what is his host identity. So those information we can easily get from a IP address. Okay, so like this way actually, like this way actually, IP 4 pair means something about really knowledgeable for us. So from this video, actually we know about the classification, the version of our IP addresses, IP version 4 and IP version 6, and also the type of IP addresses. We have a 4 type of IP addresses: public, private, static, and dynamic. And we have a basic concepts. I believe with that we have a knowledge about uh, pretty good knowledge about public, private, static, and dynamic. So I will tell to everyone, just study with these videos concept, so that you can study from my video, you can more study with the books or online resources. So I will tell you to everyone that if you study more and more, research more and more, if you have a uh, patience on networking or cybersecurity, then you will get a good knowledge day by day. So it's about a patience. Keep patience on networking and cybersecurity, and follow my channel. And today's session is enough for now. And on my next video, I will try to get a new and interesting concept on networking, in a networking field. So I hope that you will be enjoy that video also. So today's video is enough for today, and hope you will enjoy this video. Thank you everyone.